Hloni, hello. Let's come back to you now. That is not at all what we were expecting to see as we come to you. The second time now you've been shoved around and bullied is the word I'm going to use by staff at the post office. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, Gareth, it is bullying and intimidation. I just want to say that the manager of the Lenasia Post Office, Gerald, tried to grab our camera, Sander's camera, and tried to grab it from him repeatedly, trying to get us not to come inside the post office yard. This isn't even inside the post office building itself, but just inside the yard. And we're just a little bit stunned that this is not their personal post office. This is not a family post office. This is a public institution, but they don't want us here, and they are public servants, and yet they're trying to bother media who have a responsibility in terms of their accountability to be here. And given what happened last month with the SASSA social grant payments and the fact that this is an issue of national importance, why they feel and why they've made this such a personal issue where they're attacking us again. We know last month the same thing happened where we were trying to get access to speak to grant recipients, the beneficiaries, and the post office workers here at Lenasia wouldn't let us in, and they shoved us. I was with Ling at the time. They shoved us outside. So it's just unbecoming scenes that shouldn't be happening. They are public servants. Our responsibility is not to them. It's not a personal thing, but just the way that they acted, trying to grab our camera equipment, trying to get us out of the post office when we're not even here for them. We're here just to find out what is happening with the social grant payouts for October, given what happened. It's just unnecessary. And we actually haven't even heard, even from last month, we haven't even heard any of the officials, the departments condemning what happened. So for this to happen again is just, I don't understand what's going on, quite honestly. And I don't know, is this how things are done around here, where public servants who work for government institutions behave in this manner? It's uncalled for.
It certainly is, Hloni, and we certainly hope that it will be something that will be looked into and further interrogated. But let's get back to the business of the day, the reason why you are there. How are the systems running today? Are the SASSA beneficiaries looking like they will get their money?
So I spoke to a few people earlier, and I know that the regular ATM payments, those have come through. Someone showed me that the notification came through overnight, and it was the 2090 with the 10 Rand increase, of course, from last month. So it would have been 2080, and now it's 2090, and that's come through. When we arrived here around 7:30, there was obviously a long line around here. More than 100 people were here, and the post office was then opened. Chairs were lined out, recipients, the beneficiaries were then allowed to come in. That was before they closed the gate so that we couldn't come in, which in previous weeks when we've been here, the gate hasn't been closed. So, that's a separate issue, I guess. But so you do have recipients that are here. We haven't worked out yet if those that are receiving their grants through Postbank have been able to find their funding. I'm not sure that if they are actually open, because I know the post office actually does open at 8:30. But I just do want to say that the post office manager is behind me. I'm going to try and see if I can get him to say something. I wouldn't have done this ordinarily, but sir, can we just speak to you? What exactly is the issue with you trying to get us not to come into the post office, which is a public institution?
You can't interview me. You can't interview me.
What is the issue? So anyway, Tammy, we still don't know what the issue was, but there are people that are still waiting to get their funding. There is a long line, both sides of me actually, in terms of people that are waiting. And we'll just be in touch with them as the morning progresses, just to find out if they are able to get their funding, given what happened last month, Tammy.
Hloni, there seems to be a very high level of irritation. That's what I'm sensing on the ground there. But we will continue to keep in touch with you, Hloni, throughout the course of today. As you said, the post office opens in about 15 minutes' time, and only later will you really be able to get an idea of whether or not South Africans can actually go to the post office today to get their SASSA grants. But we did hear from you that the ATM system seems to be working. That also, Gareth, lines up with the press statement that comes from from SASSA today?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the press statement we had earlier. It was referring from Postbank, just referring primarily to KZN, but it seems that's the case up in Johannesburg as well, to rather go to retailers, go to ATMs as well. But remember as well, a lot of people relying on SASSA grants don't have an ATM bank account. They don't have a bank account. They don't want to be paying those bank charges as well. So there's still going to be millions and millions of people relying on SASSA. It's why the system exists. So quite right, we have to stay on top of this. And just on that, I'm not quite understanding why there is so much anger from the manager. Media 101, just go, no comments, I'm not allowed to talk to the media, but to start shoving reporters around, to start manhandling camera people is not acceptable. We're going to stay on that. Of course we are, and go back to Hloni later. Maybe we can try and get some clarity.
And just training as well. And my question is, were they briefed, were the managers briefed in how to deal with this situation?
Clearly not.
Well, we also just need to find out what the communication has actually been. When you find yourself, with the cameras, doesn't matter which media house it is, because ultimately the cameras are there to ensure that we get the information to disseminate and to communicate with you so you know what's happening. So there needs to be some level of training and understanding how to deal with the situation, whether you like it or not. You are a public official, you're there on public duty, so serve the public that you are there to serve. And there's a manner and a way in which that ought to be done that really maintains everybody's integrity and maintains everybody's safety. It's ultimately all for the general good.
Yeah, it's obviously a big story. The Post Office should have known we were going to be asking questions.